Hello and welcome to the first international edition of the First Rate Legacy podcast. We're coming to you all the way from Tijuana, Mexico, as we're all recovering from doing one of the home builds from the Homes of Hope program that we participate in quite a bit. So we're all pretty tired and sore and ready for a nap. So hopefully we don't put you to a nap with this podcast today. But I doubt that'll be the case because I've got some very special guests with me. They are Virginia and Billy Franklin, and they are here to tell us about how they ended up together, got a part of First Rate, and the amazing ministry they do. So, Billy, Virginia, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
We really appreciate this opportunity to share our story with you.
Yeah, well, I think everyone's very excited to hear that story. And so I'll kind of just get right to it. So a big part of y'all's story is the work you do for so many couples, but that work wouldn't be as powerful and impactful if it wasn't for how y'all started your relationship, a few years back. I won't say how many. But yeah, so tell us kind of how y'all ended up together and
So you want to go first? You want to tell the story?
Well, we met in college. We're graduates of Xavier University of Louisiana. Virginia was going into her second year of college, and I was in my third. And she was sitting in the cafeteria with one of her friends and a mutual friend. And he introduced me to them, and we just started talking. And from there, friendship blossomed, and that was it. Just a friendship.
And it was a good thing because he was helping me with my accounting homework is what happened. But then I went back to class the next day, and when I saw him, I was like, you didn't teach me how to do this right. So it was really funny how that all evolved. But that's what we were actually doing. He was like, oh, I can help you with that. I know accounting, like 101 or whatever. So it was pretty interesting that he helped my friend and I to... he assisted us with our homework. And I was like, I don't think you showed us how to do that quite right. But I don't think it was him. I really think it was me.
You didn't learn the lesson as well.
Yeah, my understanding of accounting, it was not very good. So from there, we just kind of started hanging out as friends. And it was really funny because we weren't really connected in any way to each other, physically attracted or, it was just us just hanging out as friends and just getting to know each other. And it kind of just, the relationship grew from a friendship.
Yeah.
And that's what we tell, we tell our family. It's funny because my mom still laughs about that because when I took William home to meet her for the first time, and she was like, oh, that's your boyfriend? I said, no, we're just friends. And she said, yeah, right. But at the time we were just friends. So it grew out of that.
Yeah, it really is amazing how lasting it can be. So many relationships are because of the start of a more friendship.
A friendship.
Instead of that more carnal attraction, that friendship just creates a lasting relationship that can evolve into a marriage or can stay a friendship, but the friendships last forever.
Right. And when you do get to that point where friendship leads to more, you realize you're not just marrying someone else, you're marrying your friend.
Yeah.
So that always stands out in your mind, that even when times are tough or you get into an argument, you realize that person is arguing a point with me because they care about me, not just because they want to be right all the time.
Yeah.
And when you look at it that way, you realize, okay, it's for my best interest while we're arguing, even though once the argument is over with, you don't hold a grudge on it.
So we dated through college. We ended up dating 6 years. So he graduated before I did, and so one of the stipulations was that before we could even talk about marriage, I had to finish my degree.
Yeah.
So he said once I finish, my engagement ring would be
Your graduation present.
my graduation present. So that's exactly what he did. So we were engaged a year. We got engaged in April, and then we were married the following August.
Wow.
So we just celebrated 35 years last August 9th. And so we're coming up on 36 years this summer. So it's been a great ride. It's been challenging. And it's amazing because even our spiritual walk, our faith walk, even in ministry as it relates to ministry has evolved.
Yeah.
Because when we were married, he was Catholic, I was Baptist. Both of our ministers actually came and were very involved in the service. And at that point, after we were married, the priest at the church where we were married asked us if we would actually come and help with couples that were coming to be married, because he wanted us to share our experience of being an interfaith couple.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where it evolved for us over 30-something years ago, of actually working with couples and being involved with couples. And it's something that we know God had really called us to. And fast forward now, William left Catholicism. He was baptized, and we began worshiping and experiencing Christ together, or just as a wholeness, or more of a oneness, because we were now worshiping in the same place. And
Worshiping together.
yes, it just made a big difference for us as a couple. And since then, we've both been ordained as elders in our church, and our ministry still to this day is premarital couples coming to be married, couples who are married who are having some difficulties. And so we know that's a place that God has called us to be.
It shows how y'all really took to heart the idea of being equally yoked, and how you found the way God works in your relationships and
Right.
grows that relationship by working to figure out how to be equally yoked together, and the power that does come from that, and the growth, and just the maturity, and and how much more valuable and powerful the love is when you reach that point.
And I think for us, I think it was just God's timing and the way He worked everything in our lives, because I think our faith with each other had to grow. I think our faith with God had to grow. I think our faith in our walk with Him had to grow, and we had to grow that as a couple, because we didn't know years from there we would experience something as devastating as Hurricane Katrina. And I truly believe that it was our spiritual walk with Christ as a couple together that allowed us to come out of that the way we did. I know so many couples that divorced after Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because it was just so stressful. Just trying to, in our case, we lost everything we owned. So to start all over in a new place, new city. And so that kind of brings me to coming to Dallas. My husband's job kind of temporarily came here. Then they went back to New Orleans. They said they would be here in Dallas a year and a half. He worked for the United States Department of National Finance, Agriculture National Finance Center. And so they said a year and a half, and then it was a couple of months later, they were saying they were going back to New Orleans. So he stayed with a good friend of ours, and they stayed really makeshift. They had a trailer out front. The guy stayed upstairs in my friend's house while he was really refinishing the downstairs of his home. So so we made the decision as a couple that he would go back to New Orleans and do that while I stayed here, because we had our daughter in school already, and that was we had changed her from middle school that year. She went to school in Baton Rouge, and we were there temporarily. So this was like her third school in 6th grade, so we were like, we can't do that to her again.
Yeah.
To put her through another move. So God just kind of was with us when we said, okay, what are you saying? So I went to William and I said, what do you hear God saying to you? And what did he point you to, the scripture?
That he would move Abraham to a strange land and would make him For the Many Nations. Now, the part of, as far as For the Many Nations, that wasn't part of it, but to move me to a strange land, to move from New Orleans to a place called Grand Prairie, Texas.
Slightly
it
different.
It was like, where is Grand Prairie, and how do I get there?
Neither of us had ever heard of Grand Prairie, Texas.
We were looking at maps, and my job was, they told us they would take care as far as expenses, living expenses in a hotel. But when you don't know where Grand Prairie is, how can you find a hotel that's close by?
And God
we were able to fix that and realize that that's where we were going.
And God just kind of had us on one accord as we prayed, because the scripture that God said to me was, don't be like Lot's wife. Don't look back.
Don't look back.
And so I knew when God dropped that in my spirit, and I then went to William and said, well, what is God saying to you? I knew that New Orleans would not be the place that he would have us to be. So I just started looking. I had been in IT for over 20 years, and I started looking in that environment, and it wasn't working out because trying to do 24-hour coverage with my daughter being here and he being gone and not knowing the city very well, it was just too much. It was just so stressful trying to get back into that field. But trying to figure out how I'm going to do 24-hour coverage. My husband's in New Orleans. I have my daughter here. It was just myself, his mom, and Jadon. So it was just a very difficult time. So I said, okay, I'm going to go get my real estate license, because that would allow me to be able to set my own schedule and do what I needed to do.
Just be more flexible.
Be more flexible and get to know the areas.
And get to know the area. Yeah. And so that kind of really worked well for me, and I did that for a couple of years, and I actually still hold my active license. So in the meantime, the market had gotten really, really bad with all the subprime lending, and I remember being at church, and I was talking to Frida Smith, and she worked for First Rate, and she said, oh, they're looking for an admin assistant, so let me tell them about you, because I think you would be a good fit for First Rate. And so she went and she told everybody about, she told me about it. I put in my resume and all of those things. And it was really funny because I was not interviewing for the person I was hired for. I was actually interviewing to be Dave Stone's administrative assistant at the time. And I laugh about that to this day, because I was like, God knew what he was doing when he did not give me that job. And so I didn't get the job with Dave, and it was ironic because I was like, oh my gosh, our personalities are so, we're both very, I think I'm a very A personality, and Dave is like all over the place. He would probably drive me nuts.
Yes.
But, we joke about that now, but it was ironic that another executive, Marshall Smith, needed an admin assistant, and I interviewed with Marshall, and I just said to him, I said, I know you're looking at all of the things that I've done in the IT world. I know you're looking at how much I made working in the IT world, and you're probably saying you're really, really, really overqualified for this job. But I said, I just want a job. I just want a job. I can do this job. And I said, I think I could really love this job. I'm really not interested in going back to IT. And he gave me the opportunity to come to First Rate, and it's been a joy to be here. And I've been here going on, next month will be 11 years.
Yeah.
So,
and it's been a blessing for First Rate to have you, because that A personality has been very needed for many of an exec beyond just Marshall, and I appreciate that firsthand. And you've had to
crack the
whip with me too sometimes, which
so,
is
don't
neat.
feel bad, because she cracks it at home too.
So it's been good. First Rate has really been a blessing, and as a couple that we've gotten to do so many things as a couple, as being a part of the First Rate family, like the trip to Israel last year when we took a couple of years ago. It wasn't last year. It feels like last year with COVID, but it was actually 2 years ago. They're getting ready to do that trip again this year, and it was just such an amazing blessing to be able to share that with some of our First Rate family, or just to celebrate all the things we celebrate as a family, as a couple. So it's just been a great joy to be there, and the way I came to First Rate, I do believe it was just God's blessing for me to be in that place at that appointed time. So couples are still front and center for us. We still spend a lot of our time in ministry doing that. It's a joy for us. We were just, talking to one of the YWAMers tonight about, the commitment of marriage and what it means to be married, and just knowing that marriages today can still be successful, because I don't think we see enough of, positive marriages or people who have the joy of the Lord.
Yeah,
in their
there's still
marriages.
great examples out there. They just can get drowned out very easily, and so.
Yes.
And I think that's what's so great is y'all provide so many couples the opportunity to see and learn from and grow alongside such a wonderful example of a couple. And I think that's also what's neat is, First Rate can help y'all find the time you need so that you never have to sacrifice one. You know that First Rate will support you and your calling. Your vocation, and it's so important for employees to, as we like to say, pursue their primary aim, and to see the two of you together pursue your primary aim of just being that light for so many couples it's just inspiring and such a blessing.
And it's interesting because I was just sharing with some of the YWAMers that after we've spent time with our daughter and she's all grown up, this is really a time for us to really be able to do that more, like to go on, more Homes of Hope trips, to plant more seeds in that area, or do other things, that First Rate may be committed to in some other areas that our primary aim is, just to be able to nurture the things of God that He's given us to do. And it's just been a joy to be able to do that with First Rate.
Yeah, and First Rate has given us many opportunities, just like this home bill. We didn't expect to come out here and sit down and talk with a young lady who's in the ministry with YWAM, and wind up actually giving her ideas of what to be looking for in a mate, how to nurture your relationship, and how we focused in on it. And it's just in us. It's our ministry. It's our calling. It's who we are. And this was an opportunity for us to minister without even realizing we'd be here doing ministry work.
Your ministry pops up at any time, anywhere.
When it's in you, it's going to come out.
Exactly. And we love seeing it come out of y'all. So freely and so passionately, and it's the impact y'all make. It's just phenomenal.
Bro, she said something to us tonight, and we can. So I said we can pray that that's what God gives us. I said I pray for that all the time. She says, "You guys," we told her we celebrated 35. She says, "You guys are going to get to celebrate 35 more." And I said, "It is our daily prayer that God will keep us in good health and sound mind, and give us longevity for that reason." So.
Yeah, that really is. And I'm only on, about to hit year 3, so I got a ways to go. But it always helps seeing, and I know that when we get there, I want our goal to be the same too, to have that other 35.
It's possible because we were at 3 at one time.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny because we watch, just like other couples tend to watch us, we tend to watch other couples.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I watch Dave and Trina all the time, because I watch her just know how to, she has this, I don't know, it's just something about her spirit of humility and her peacefulness.
Yes.
That it's like she is the perfect mate for Dave when you look at them together, because he's like all over the place and she's just so calming and so soothing. She is. And so we watch them a lot too, and we think they're funny together. When you watch them together, they're really funny. And when the YWAM staff said she was watching us on the bill, I was like, you need to watch. I don't even know how she didn't even see them sometimes, but we watch them all the time because we think they're funny when they're together too. So it's just been a blessing. So we appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is you can always learn. And, and you can always grow. And your journey's never finished. When First Rate itself just celebrated our 30th, and I remember during that opening prayer for that big party we had, I said, we're praying and thanking for the 30 years we had, but we still know this is only the intro. And there's 30 great more years and beyond to come, and that's where the stories get written. And that's kind of what you pray for too. These 35 years of marriage have been fantastic for you, but it's still, in a way, the intro.
We feel like sometimes we're newlyweds all the time.
Yeah.
It's funny because people say, does it feel like you've been married 35 years? And I was like, no, we feel like newlyweds a lot of times. And that's a good thing because you want to be at year 35 still feeling like you're newlyweds. So we just have a lot of fun together and we enjoy.
Well, y'all are fun people.
So. I don't know about all of that. I don't know if it's so fun tonight. I feel a little worn out, actually.
Well, we're all worn out.
But it was a very, very good day and such an honor and a blessing to be able to help a family that, a young, really young family that are...
That's really in need.
Yeah, they are in need.
Can provide
and when you
with.
see someone with where they're living now, there's like this one room shack that's really falling down. That's not really a house. It's just some walls that were thrown up to try and keep their kids dry, and it's raining in it, and the mud just came in from all the rains, and it's just heartbreaking to the young man actually said that we can take a look at where they were currently living. So the house that they're getting tomorrow will bless them in so many ways.
Yeah, that's what's such a great thing about Homes of Hope and how First Rate and their employees and family, First Rate is a family, right. Get to participate in a ministry like this and get the opportunity to get such perspective and then be a part of such blessing.
So I'm sure the Tiburon group that came to do this home build, and with the First Rate guys that kind of came along with them, they were just so amazed and so excited about what they got to participate in doing. So I'm sure they will be coming back for years to come. They had quite a few that have done this before that maybe was their second time, but a lot of them were first timers. So
and you get hooked.
Yeah, it is very addicting.
It is very gratifying.
Yes.
So we're excited about it.
What you have and you take for granted is not everybody's story.
Yeah.
That there always is someone less fortunate, but they still thank God for what they have. Mm-hmm. And when you can actually bless them with more than what they could ever imagine, and see the emotions and the flood of feelings from them, from what you're able to provide, it makes it all that much more. You actually see God's love. Yeah. Physically right there and then.
You see the agape.
Yes. So it was an amazing day, and this has been an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, it really is. And we always encourage all of our employees, as well as clients, friends, family, if you're anybody that's a part of or connected to First Rate, we can help get you out here to help change someone's life and get to just change yourself in the process and make such a big difference. And so it's so truncated, but it's great. So did we cover everything that you needed to know, or that you had in mind to ask us? I think we did. I think I really appreciate y'all for being guests for the First Rate Legacy podcast, and I know our listeners very much appreciate that. And, well, we thank you for the opportunity for allowing us to share our story. Yeah, it's a wonderful story, and it's still going. It's still going. This is not the end. It's not the end. It continues. Even after 35 years, 35 plus years, all the way from just learning how to do your accounting homework, or at least trying to learn it. God works in mysterious ways. Even through accounting. So anyways, thank you all so much, and thank you all for listening.